Hey, Dr. T's followers. Breathing is so important for us as singers, and it's important for anybody that plays an instrument like trumpet. I teach singing and I teach trumpet. So I've spent a lot of time over the years trying to learn how the breathing mechanism works well so that I can use that knowledge to help my students and help myself sing and play better. I had a great opportunity the other day to sit down with a medical professional to talk about the anatomy of the breathing mechanism and learn what we can do to breathe more deeply, to breathe correctly, and to support the sound so that we have greater capacity and we have greater support for the tone. Dr. Melissa is the mother of two of my brass students, a trumpet student and a tuba student. And at the end of our online lesson on Zoom the other day, she sat down with me and answered some questions for me about how this all works. It was a very informative discussion. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll learn a lot from it. So I'm going to play that for you now. It takes a little bit of time, but I think you'll find it very helpful. Please comment afterwards. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you've learned from it. Thank you for watching. Hey, I got an anatomy question for you. What happens with the diaphragm when it goes down? So let me share a screen with you and show you some of the pictures that I've been using, and then maybe you can clarify something for me. All right, you got my PowerPoint now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it on presentation. You see what all right, so I found this picture to show all that stuff down inside. And now, you know where the diaphragm is there, up there right below the heart. Okay, now the question is, I know, in fact, I'll back it up a little bit to this picture. I know that the diaphragm comes down, okay, and it contracts and goes down. So this dome comes down, and it looks to me, and I have assumed that this picture indicates that it kind of forms kind of a vortex kind of a shape as it goes down and pushes the stuff down below out.
Yes.
Right?
It goes from a shape like this
Yep.
to a more flat shape.
Okay, so it actually comes down flat. Now it looks from that one picture like it, you see how it goes down? They've got it showing it down in the middle. Does it go down in the middle a little bit first and then come down like kind of like that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. So, because what I'm sure you've seen pictures of it sideways. If you look sideways, that's pretty full there. So it's got to go down. Is it compressing? Is it just pressing down on the whole bit, or does it actually kind of go down through it?
No, it presses down the whole thing. All of your organs are in a space, and there's lots of fluid in between. And
Okay.
so when it presses down, it kind of compresses what they call potential space, which is not organs, but the fluid and the fat membrane around all of the organs, all of that gets kind of pushed together and then back up. So the organs themselves are not really getting squished as much as the stuff around them is, because there's stuff in between all of your different organs to kind of you separate them from each other and protect them from each other. So everything has a little kind of fatty tissue and something like a membrane around all of it, and the entire inside is filled with fluid.
Okay, so yeah, so there's room for things to move a little bit. That's over. Now, I have also maintained that when y'all go back to the other picture there, that when I'll go to point, and you can't see that. Okay, you can see my cursor. See my pointer here? I have also maintained, as do most, I think probably most voice teachers, that when that goes down, because of that compression, that part of what needs to happen is we need to allow the abdomen, the stomach area, the belly, we need to allow that to expand out, so that we get, it looks like we're getting fat, so to speak. So in my first picture, yeah, there he is. So my first picture, I usually show this guy, he's not fat, he's breathing correctly, he's allowing that expansion there.
That's right, because if your abdominal muscles are tight, then all of that stuff has nowhere to go. So you loosen up your abdominal muscles, and as the diaphragm pushes down, it can all of that stuff can move out into the potential abdominal space as well. But if your muscles are tightened, then you don't have as much room for your diaphragm to push all that stuff down.
So the interesting thing is, okay, all right. First of all, then if you can see my cursor again here, then the picture here, the diaphragm isn't necessarily. I wondered about the possibility, is it kind of vortexing down and kind of pushing stuff forward that way?
We're pulling out our actual anatomy book with the
There you
actual
go.
pictures.
There you go. So part of what I'm wondering is if it does push down in such a way that it actually kind of pushes the stuff forward too, as well as just straight down.
Yeah, I think you're just making space when you loosen your abdominal muscles.
Right.
So that all of that stuff can go down, but it can also squish flat out.
Just as if you press down like on a water balloon or a mattress or something like that, you push down in one direction, it's gonna go out as well as just down if it has the space to go to.
Right.
The
This is
interesting.
the anatomy book
Okay,
picture.
let me get off of stop share so I can see you here. All right, coming. All right, so this is an actual photo, isn't it? Hang on, I got to change my view here. I'll be able to see it better. Okay, go ahead. Tell
That's
me.
an, that's an actual photo. And so when you look at it through the middle section, it looks like a kidney bean shape. And then the back of it is where the back of it is hooked a little tighter because that's where the big arteries and things go through. Like your aorta goes right through there.
Okay. Oh, okay. So like the picture on the bottom right here, or my right.
Right, where it goes down a little bit. I wonder if that's what they're showing. When you breathe in, that part is fixed against your right, because so it's not sliding up and down your aorta. It's fixed against your big blood vessels that come out of your chest, and the rest of it moves up and down.
Okay, which would also help lend it toward going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Oh,
back part is fixed. The front part has more room to move because it's not fixed as tightly around those.
gotcha. The interesting thing about this is that there are voice teachers and other, maybe other breathing expert kinds of things, but particularly voice teachers that I've had that at times that would tell the students, all right, keep these abdominal muscles, your rectus abdominis, your six pack, keep that tight, keep that tight. And even when you're inhaling, that doesn't make sense. It has nowhere to go if you do that, and so forth. So actually, another picture that I've been showing them is the picture that it's kind of a cutout. I'll share it with you again here. Um, this picture here, which I'm sure you've seen something. Let me go back to my presentation, which shows where you can see the four layers, and uh, and so really you got four layers that really have to relax to allow that expansion because if they're contracting, obviously they're pulling in, going the other direction. Another interesting kind of question or issue here too is for a long time. If you look at that explanation there, it says the diaphragm contracts and moves down. Okay, now the diaphragm, the other side, the diaphragm relaxes and moves up.
Mhm.
Okay, right. But so when you exhale, but now if I blow into the tuba and I play a good strong note, there's a lot of force there.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I would ask medical people about that and stuff. But what's that force? For instance, if I do, I feel a pretty strong kick here. That doesn't feel like it, almost like the diaphragm is kicking back, but the diaphragm doesn't contract that way. It doesn't kick back.
So what you're doing is you're contracting your abdominal muscles, which is pulling the organs back in, which is pushing the diaphragm back up.
Right, and I finally it was a new young chiropractor that finally put me onto it, And in particular, that one, the transverse abdominis, that's what you feel right underneath the sternum. You get that strong kick, that girdle right there. Boom. And so, but it does look and feel like you get some effect of your six pack, the obliques, internal, external kind of thing. But most of it seems to be coming from that transverse abdominis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like that. So, all right, good. You're a good lady. You agree with me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and what's interesting is when people gain a lot of weight in
Yeah.
their area, what you should have is a thin layer of fat and a lot of fluid in there, but you tend to build up fat all around your organs, which does not compress as easily as that fluid does in there. So the bigger you get, the harder it is for you to take a deep breath in. That's why people are always short of breath.
That's funny. That's funny in a way too, because have you seen pictures of a lot of opera stars?
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're so well trained with their breaths that
Yeah. Well, they should be. Um,
those years.
what's that?
After all those years of doing it correctly.
Well, if they got, it was interesting though. A lot of this that I teach now in my lessons, I learned probably in the last 10 or 15 years. Not back from so much from my undergrad. My dad was my undergrad voice teacher and stuff, and he did teach me the whole concept of the belly breathing and the expansion down here and that kind of stuff. And my trumpet teachers would talk about it too. But nobody did what I've done in terms of going in and let's find out what's really going on. Most of that I've just taught myself, checking things out, reading things, and so forth like that. There was, have you ever heard the name Luciano Pavarotti? Yeah, big guy, 6'5", but a little on the fat side too. But early in his career, my dad said, and I've not verified this in writing myself, but my dad said that early in his career, he had a voice lesson situation in Europe somewhere where he was going, I think, more than once a week and it was all breathing. That's all they did for 2 years. He was doing this. So just working that capacity and as well as the use of it. So when you listen to Pavarotti, whose voice I'm not particularly fond of, because of his resonance and stuff like that, there's a little bit of an edge to it that my favorite tenor at that time was Placido Domingo. One of the three tenors. Domingo had a beauty of sound that Pavarotti didn't have. There was just a beauty in his tone and stuff like that. But Pavarotti still tremendous long phrases and stuff like that. So yeah, I think a lot of and one more little interesting thing. It's interesting that over the years there have been big name opera singers and stuff like that that built their careers and stuff like that. They're a little overweight, and stuff like that. In some cases, maybe even fat. And then they put, okay, I'm going to put myself on a weight training program. They go on a weight training program and they lose their voice.
Yeah.
They don't lose the voice completely, but they don't have the size of sound that they had and stuff like that. Which I would imagine would be partly kind of a strength thing that maybe not
Yeah,
strong.
I'm not really sure why that
Yeah.
is the case, but it
Well,
does make a difference. I don't know why that would be. Maybe there's something within um, within the larynx as well that changes when you're heavy. I'm not sure.
that fat can be everywhere, depending on how fat you are. But the other thing is the body mass is part of the resonator.
Oh
And
yeah.
so maybe that's part of it too. So I don't have a specific instance of an individual. I've just heard of that happening. And so, well, anyway, okay. So I wanted to bounce it off a Alpha Pro. All
Yeah.
right, cool. Thank you.